There are some key shoe reviews, and I believe this one is one of them. Hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. This is the first review of 2023, so I wish you a happy new year, full of great running experiences, full of great races, and many other things non-running related. We are starting the year with a crazy interesting review, and I believe this is a good sign for this year on the channel. When you start with something great, the year can only be great. Here I have the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro. This is a shoe that you have seen probably on social media, on my Instagram, on the Meta Endurance Instagram. If you're not following us, go check the accounts in the description. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's so special. I don't think this prototype colorway will be sold, will be available. The colorway that will be sold, the first one, I believe, looks quite nice. It was shown, I think, yesterday by Mizuno, red and blue. Quite nice, a bit more conventional, if you will. I personally ran already 50 kilometers in this shoe. 3 sessions, one, let's say, endurance run, one up-tempo run, and one session with some intervals today, 200 meters and 400 meters to test pretty much everything this shoe can do. So I have a fairly good idea of how it responds at different paces. And let's go directly into it. Let's start with the specs. This shoe weighs 255 grams in my size US 11.5. And this is a good segue directly going into the upper. I don't have the durometer scores and the width. I'm on vacation. I haven't measured those specs yet. I will put them on the Shoe Super Tool on the Meta Endurance website. If you're interested, just go check the website, the Shoe Super Tool. You will find the width of the platform and the durometer scores. This shoe runs a bit small, and I'm happy that Mizuno sent me a size US 11.5, so half a size more than my true to size US 11. However, note that this US 11.5 corresponds to an EU 45, which is my true to size EU if you take the conventional conversion tables. So make sure you pick your US size and maybe consider going half up. I would probably recommend going half up, to be honest, on this shoe. It feels good like this in this half up size for me. It feels the right length, and I don't have any issues with the narrowness of the forefoot like some other reviewers may have had, which I believe is a sign that the half up is the way to go. For the rest of the feet, I must admit that the tongue is not padded enough for me. I would have liked a bit more padding. I understand weight is a concern when it comes to a racing shoe, but I would have liked a bit more padding. And this is especially because when I'm lacing the shoe and using here a marathon knot, I get a bit of lacing pressure or pressure coming from the laces on top of my foot, which is not super pleasant. And if I don't use the marathon knot, I get some extra movement in the heel, which could be avoided either by adding some bolsters, a bit more padding here in the heel, but again, coming at the cost of weight, or redesigning maybe a bit that heel. Overall, the fit is good, but it's not superb. So, you know, some tweaks here to be done, I believe, for V2 to make the fit even better and the whole experience even better. Looking at the midsole, we're looking at something very special here in terms of geometry, as you can see with that heel bevel, very aggressive bevel, and that huge rocker starting very early on here in the forefoot. That outsole pattern here as well is very special with that cutout for weight purposes, but also to have something a bit like the Energy Arc system at New Balance. You have that void here in the middle, acting a bit as a propulsion system together with the plates. 42 millimeters in the heel, 37.5 in the forefoot for that 4.5 millimeters drop. That being said, 42 is measured at the thickest point here of the stack height. The shoe is World Athletic legal, meaning that when measured at 75% of the length here, the midsole is less than 40 millimeters, so even elite athletes can race in it. It's just that it has, at some point, not at the 75% length, but at some point of the midsole, it has 42 millimeters, so more than the 40 millimeters, but that's absolutely fine as per World Athletics regulation. It has a plate, yes, it's not a carbon plate, it's a PIPA-based plate, something that Mizuno already had in the Wave Rebellion and in some other shoes. This plate here, I believe, acts more as a stabilizer for that that foam, that dual layer density type of foam. So a top layer a bit softer and bottom layer a bit firmer. PBA-based foams, not super critical, but PBA-based foams, and these are similar, I would say, to Nike Zoom X, which is a very good thing. How is it riding? That's one question you may have, and that's of course the biggest question. It rides absolutely fantastic, but there are some caveats, and I'm going to address all of them. The ride is great at higher paces, around tempo, up tempo, threshold, and even slightly beyond that. I wouldn't recommend the shoe for anything 10k, 5k paces, and that's because trying it today on my 400 meters, 200 meter reps, it feels a bit clunky, and you feel like the geometry doesn't necessarily work as well at those paces, at least for me. And that's because I'm striking a bit more here in the forefoot at those paces. The paces this shoe works at is when you have, let's say, your perfect strike, if that makes sense. This shoe essentially controls your strike, and it wants you to strike precisely here and nowhere else. So if you're not striking precisely here, it's not ideal. I am not striking precisely here with many other shoes, and this shoe is asking me to strike precisely here to take advantage of that very long rocker and of that geometry. I tried heel striking, it doesn't feel good. You can do it, it doesn't feel good. Striking in the forefoot is, let's say, useless because you're not taking any advantage of the geometry of the shoe, so you need to strike exactly here. Now, like I said, I'm not striking exactly here with many other shoes, and yet it feels very natural striking here for me with this shoe. That's for two reasons. The first one is really linked to me, my injury here in the forefoot. I broke myself a metatarsal. I needed to, I still need to take a bit care of that forefoot, and I know that it's a bit psychological and probably also mechanical. I am with many shoes at the moment striking a bit less in the forefoot and a bit more here in that midfoot to heel zone. So that's me, and that's why also this shoe feels natural to me. However, I also believe that even without that injury thing and my change in foot strike, it would work well because the geometry is really designed to be very friendly for anyone trying to hit here, and it makes it natural to do so. Of course, it's a nice coincidence for me, and that's why also I really like this shoe at the moment. But I believe many people can like it even if you're not striking precisely here. Heel strikers will be drawn towards that zone here. Forefoot strikers won't have much of an issue to go back a bit in their foot strike and use that specific point here to really take advantage of that geometry. If you want to know a bit more about the design of the shoe and how the whole system is meant to work, there will be a video publishing on the channel 2 days after this review. It's an interview with a footwear designer at Mizuno. They will be explaining exactly how it was designed and what was the idea behind the shoe. So stay tuned for the, let's say, second episode in this review. This is my take, and you will have the sort of design secrets coming afterwards. Overall, my assessment is highly positive. It's probably a shoe I will be racing in. I'm gonna do the Tokyo Marathon with another shoe, but this is a shoe I would love to race in 2023 with. And I believe this is also a change of, a big change for me, because with many other super shoes, I was ready to try racing with them. And for some of them I did, for some I didn't, but it was more like, let's give it a shot. With this shoe, I have a very high confidence that it's gonna be great. And so I will be racing in it. It's not like, maybe I'm gonna try it. No, I will be racing in it for sure. Half marathon or marathon, nothing below. And again, I believe this is a shoe that needs some speed, that needs some, some pounding and some compression to be delivering its full potential. Stability, this is a small concern for me. I would compare this shoe overall to, if we were to draw a comparison with Nike shoes, this is more of an Alphafly, but it has, for me, the pronation level of a Vaporfly, which is a very high pronation level for me. And I believe it will have that for many people. I would like to see here on that medial side an extra millimeter of foam just to avoid having my ankle breaking so much at every step. And so, you know, this may be a warning for all of you with higher pronation levels. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe try it, but I don't think it's necessarily the best option. And that's also because of the less structured upper, which, you know, adds some internal pronation. Here in the shoe, you have the sort of overall mechanical pronation and some extra movement here, which leads to less than ideal stability. Also in traction, I was surprised. It's some good traction here. I ran on some wet roads, on some icy roads, and it works really well. So good job, Mizuno. To be honest, I don't know why, but I was expecting something quite bad. Don't ask me why. It's like, you know, just me testing, putting the shoe on in the house, and I'm like, ooh, I feel like the grip is not gonna be great. It is very good, so very good job, Mizuno here. This shoe will be available in February 2023, so in, you know, a bit less than a month, maybe mid-February, depending on the region you live in. $250, 250 euros. It's a fair price point for this shoe when you know the Alphafly is selling for 300, 310, depending on the colorways and versions. Overall, looking at the market, it's a fair price for this shoe, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is gonna be a favorite for many people this year. Let's watch this video in a few months and prove me wrong or prove me right, but I think this one will work for many people and will be a highly praised shoe by many of you. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your rides, and go beyond your limits in 2023. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.